So as we mentioned, Chris Rock's comedy special called Selective Outrage is airing this Saturday live on Netflix. But did some jokes get leaked? Some news outlets are revealing jokes from Chris's current Ego Death comedy tour about Will Smith. They say those jokes will be in the new special, but we weren't sure if we should be revealing them on DBL. So does anyone here want to hear them?
No.
Okay.
We waited a year. Why would we spoil it now?
The comic.
I absolutely don't.
Okay.
I don't want to end up like fiercely against people recording any kinds of sets, but especially sets where comics are working out to get ready. The way big comics like Chris, and I've actually been, when I was in Florida, I would see him come through when he's getting ready for a special. That's when you can go see Chris Rock at a regular comedy club. Sometimes they'll even have a notepad with them, and they'll go, they'll do their jokes, he'll look back and say, I forgot where I'm going with that. They're workshopping material. So when people are recording that, it's no different than standing over Stephen King's shoulder and being like, ooh, they killed the guy on page 7. You're ruining the entire stand-up comedy is the big reveal. It's what the magician is showing you. And I'm really glad that DBL, we are showing some discretion. Obviously, we're not going to show this, but I want people to understand what the title Selective Outrage means to me. I haven't spoken to Chris, but you know, he does say something in his act, and I'm not giving a joke away, but he says Will is significantly bigger than me. There is no way that somebody that was much larger than somebody else could smack a smaller person in front of the whole world and get away with it if it wasn't that situation. Because if there was any other situation, that would have been seen as bullying, assault. He got a standing ovation after that. How does that happen? Who else on the planet could get a standing ovation for assaulting a man and it humiliating them in front of the entire world? I really think Chris Rock is what is representative of what a lot of people are feeling. And Jeff, you talk about it all the time. People come to the aid of people that do need it, of course, but then when something else is obviously out of balance, everybody's suddenly silent. We're still having drinks with them at the Grammy after party.
He's still winning the award.
If somebody had smacked somebody of another ethnicity or another gender, would they have been at the after party? So I guess we're saying that it's okay to smack Chris Rock, right? I mean, our applause show that. So I think the one thing that Will Smith didn't understand is that Chris Rock has muscles that aren't abs and biceps. He's got a brain and he's got a microphone. And Saturday, I think he's going to use it quite well.
Wow. What would you say, though, the immediate aftermath, and I'm not condoning this, I agree with everything you said, but the immediate aftermath was people somewhat defending Will Smith, saying, but he was defending his wife.
Well, I think I disagree with that, Sam. I know it's been a year, and we all remember it differently, but my recollection was the immediate aftermath was confusion. It was a lot of debate about what we had actually saw. I mean, I remember having a conversation with someone who's in the industry, and I was like, I just saw this other feed. I don't think this is an inside joke. Like, that was happening until we went to bed that night. And then the next day, we still came in and we were like, this is what it must have been. Like, I think there was so much confusion. So I understand everything that you're saying, and I think you're absolutely right, Al. I can't debate anything that you've said, but I do think that we do need to remember about what was happening in that moment, especially for pop culture.
I think what Sam was saying was like kind of after, because then there was like, well, she has alopecia, and he should have known.
There was a collective understanding. If you looked at any post that talked ill about Will Smith, you would have people calling him out, like you just said.
Oh, I read articles.
And then you would have people saying, but he should never came for his wife. So I'm commenting, not me personally, I'm commenting on the societal narrative. That was really strange to me.
And my apologies, because I thought that night. But I do think you're right, but that's just the nature of social media. That's the nature of how we go about, that's the nature of this table. You know, everyone sees something occur, and then everyone has a different interpretation of what they've seen. That's the reason why we can't agree on the truth when it comes to anything.
But violence is violence.
And to Erica's point, just to close it, I'm sorry, but if you watch our comments, I've looked on other TV shows comments when you bring this up, half the comments are, let it go, man. It's been a year, let it go. And it hasn't been a full year. But when something comes up in someone else's life that you don't like, If it's 20 years ago, you say, hey, man, you got to pay the piper.
Selective outrage.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? But you want to let this one go because you friends with Will Smith in some sort of way or you're a fan. But if something happens to someone 20 years ago, let's hold them to the fire.
That's why his tour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like it's like Roaring Twenties. This is like the selective outrage era. That's what we are in. He titled it.
I cannot wait to hear his commentary on everything,
Yes.
including Will Smith, of course. Okay, so we got to talk about Kobe Bryant's widow, Vanessa. She has settled a lawsuit over those helicopter crash photos. She was awarded a final settlement of nearly $29 million. Vanessa sued Los Angeles County after sheriffs and fire department employees shared photos from the crash site where Kobe and their 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, were killed. Now, during the trial in August, a deputy admitted to sharing the photos with a bartender. They were also shared with some spouses of the employees. Wow. What do you think, Tori, of this settlement? I mean, this isn't going to heal wounds.
No.
But is this set a precedent for
that's what I was
other
gonna
situations?
Say. Yeah, like no amount of money is worth seeing your daughter's body. Like, I'm going to be honest and graphic. That's what they were sharing at a bar. And like a beloved person. Imagine what would they do with someone you don't even know. That's how terrifying this is. But what I would have to say is she did this for a reason. We've seen this a little bit, even in Colorado with Elijah McClain's body and memorial, police taking photos of the body afterwards, sending it, whatever. All of this needs to be put into evidence tampering and needs to be stopped. This sets the precedent of this is the new law. She could even start legislation and name it the Vanessa Bryant law or move on.
Kobe Bryant,
or Kobe, whatever it is. She actually could be at the forefront of something that we're starting to see as a real issue here, where police are so, not every cop, but police are so numb that it's look at this, it's part of it and that part of the screen. And at some point, someone's got to legislate that as against the law. They could be criminally charged for that, in my mind.
Are we just using a microscope for a larger super gross sample of society? I mean, we have people like Alex Jones that made billions, not billions, but hundreds of millions of dollars by propagating the Sandy Hook lie. He made a fortune. We look at the Kobe Bryant situation. We look at somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who proudly was chasing David Hogg of Parkland down the street, saying that was a false flag. And she's still in Congress, and I think the number 1 or 2 fundraiser of that party. So we're talking about one person or a few people at a bar, but let's be honest about what we're talking about here. There's a large swath of this country that really supports dehumanizing people on a level that I didn't think was possible. I didn't know that you would be allowed to harass the parents of dead children for a decade before anybody did anything. I didn't know that this is the country that we lived in. I didn't know that you could harass the high school students that had just seen their classmates eviscerated and blown in half. But I was wrong. You can get elected to Congress for that. So let's not just make this about the Kobe Bryant grossness or the Elijah McClain grossness, which the Aurora police never showed up when my house was burglarized, but they did break up his memorial, though. So shout out to y'all for that. I do want to say that this is a larger swath of society that we don't want to talk about. And when I always say, you don't have to listen to what I say, follow the money. Who's in power? Who's got the money? Alex Jones has more money than anybody on this panel.
But I will say there's progress, Al, in that he is going to court, and I'm saying he's a horrible person. There are consequences, and I'm glad to see that in this progress with Vanessa.
He just moves his money around. He'll be fine.
I agree with you, but at least someone can take him to court and say this is defamation, because it's not just getting away with it.
No,
I hear you.
I'm glad you. Thank you for looking for the silver lining. I appreciate you, because I'm not good at that, but I'm super disappointed in us as a society. It's super gross.
It's valid. It's valid.
It's super gross.
That's honest.
Dead children, Sam.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so we've got a viral video for
Let's get to some good news. Yes.
A daughter, I'm going to need my tissue. Someone grab tissue,
I got you, girl.
everybody.
I got you, girl.
A daughter is surprising her dad during his kidney transplant after keeping a big secret for 8 months. Turns out she was his anonymous donor. Take a look.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Oh.
It's so good. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, it's fine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what life's about, right? Is showing up for your family members. Obviously, that dad feels so super proud in that moment, knowing that his daughter paid the ultimate sacrifice to help him. He raised her right. He probably didn't want her to. That's probably why they kept it
That's
secret,
a dad,
but
yeah.
beautiful.
The ultimate sacrifice would be her dying, so let's hope that doesn't happen.
I know.
But the kidney's nice too.
Yes,
The kidney's
yes.
nice too. Yeah, being a parent. I mean, if your kid gives you a blank card with like a scratch on it, I'm like, well, I can't throw this away. You know, it's like, let alone a kidney. I mean, oh my God, yeah.
And also, it's just a very painful procedure to have gone through. And she's now one kidney down. That's a dangerous thing, a brave thing, a courageous thing. Living donors are an amazing group of courageous pioneers, really. They're
And this is
unbelievable.
something you've had to think about.
Oh,
in your own
yeah.
life. I'm not gonna get into, yeah, but
and I would do it in a heartbeat, but it's like you think you do it and you have to go through months and months of work and then antibiotics and then you could get an infection and then it's not like a happy, that was a lot of work that daughter did for her dad. Yeah.
Whew, kudos to her.